This put a whole new spin on things. Listen.
It has been nearly 67 years since Emmett Till was abducted, tortured, and lynched in Mississippi after the 14-year-old black boy from Chicago who was visiting family in Mississippi was accused of making advances at a white woman. In an amazing discovery last week, a team searching a Mississippi courthouse basement for evidence in the case uncovered an unserved 1955 arrest warrant charging that same woman for Till's kidnapping. Included in that team were relatives of Till. They're now calling for the woman, Carolyn Bryant Donham, now in her 80s, to be arrested. Donham was married to one of the two white men who were tried and acquitted for Till's brutal murder, shockingly, by an all-white jury. Maybe not so shockingly given this country's history. They later confessed to the killing. The arrest warrant against Donham was publicized at the time. But get this, the sheriff told reporters that he did not want to, quote, bother Ms. Bryant, since she had two young children to care for. Oh, Mary.
Really? A little boy is dead and they didn't want to bother this lady because she had two children to care for? Seriously?
History. With me now is Deborah Watts, Emmett Till's cousin and co-founder of the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. She was part of the team that discovered the warrant. Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Watts. And I want to take you back to that discovery. What were you all looking for in that courthouse, and how did you come upon this incredible document?
Well, I'll just tell you, it was a team of about 5 of us, and this was the second opportunity to search. There was a team that went towards the end of March after we had a meeting with the Department of Justice, the FBI investigator, and the DA Richardson. And so at that time, they told us there was nothing else that they could do. And we knew all along that this warrant for Carolyn Bryant's arrest was never served. Keith Beauchamp, who is an award-winning filmmaker and was responsible for the investigation that reopened the case in 2004, made sure that we understood that. And so a collective group of us went to the courthouse in LaFleur County, Greenwood, Mississippi, to search for that warrant. And we knew that one bit of evidence had never been served, and we wanted to find it amongst other things that we thought might be there. But we did find it, and we are hoping that this leads to the at least the execution of the warrant to Carolyn Bryant Donham, charging her in the kidnapping and murder of Emmett Lewis Till, because she's culpable in that, without malice, without hate, or without vengeance. We want justice served. And so we were just excited, ecstatic, happy, very emotional at the time when we found it in the lower level of the LaFleur County courthouse area in the basement there.
Carolyn Bryant Donham, she the book The Blood of Emmett Till, which brought a lot of people, younger people, to this story that only knew about it from history class if it's illegal to teach in their state. That in that book, Carolyn Bryant Donham, she actually gave an interview to that author, and then she took back her previous admissions that she lied about your cousin, about Emmett Till. Do you want her arrested and put under oath to get her to, under oath, say what she did?
Well, we think the evidence speaks for itself, and we think that the sheriff needs to serve that warrant to Carolyn Bryant. The DA needs to impanel a grand jury, and then they need to bring Carolyn in to be a part of that and indict her being culpable in the murder and, first of all, the kidnapping of Emmett Lewis Till.
Absolutely.
But Carolyn definitely was there. I mean, the FBI investigation and other reports and the admission by Dale Killinger, who was the FBI investigator at the time, he received an admission from that 2 other young men had been brought to her to identify them. And of course, we know what happened with Emmett. Those 2 other young men were accosted, they were thrown out, beat up, some of them were beat up. But Emmett, what happened to Emmett? He was kidnapped and murdered later. So there had to be an identification. Carolyn Bryant could be the only person that would do that. And in fact, in the documents that we found, there was an affidavit for her arrest as well. Also, the address of Mose Wright, who identified her. He had to.
Right.
So they talked to him, and this kidnapping took place, of course, Joy, before the murder. So
Yeah.
justice needs to be served. It's time, and Carolyn needs to be brought to justice.
I just want to very quickly, before we run out of time, ask you, I mean, you were, what, 6, 7 years old when your cousin was murdered. How did, you know, his murder and this historic funeral that Mamie Till opened the casket so that the world would have to see the results of it? Were you at that funeral? How did his death impact your family?
I was not at the funeral. I was actually a toddler at the time, not quite 6, 7 years of age, but I heard about it. When Mamie Till Mobley traveled across the country to speak out along with the NAACP, she came to my hometown, Omaha, Nebraska, and I was able to see a booklet that was created by a photojournalist, Ernest Withers, who identified and photographed, I should say, the trial and that famous photo of Mose Wright pointing at the two murderers. And so I was able to see that and connect the tears, the emotions with Mamie's visit. And see, even as a toddler, I was able to become emotional about it. But later in years, Mamie Till Mobley is my shero. And we oftentimes had conversations about what happened, who was responsible, and what kind of justice she wanted.
Yeah.
She did not want, excuse me, she did not, I would say this, she didn't want to have any type of hate towards Carolyn Bryant or vengeance, and we hold that in our hearts as well. We just want justice served, just as we wanted, just as Simmons wanted it as well.
Indeed, indeed. Deborah Watts, it's such an honor to talk to you. Thank you so much, and the best to your family, and we wish you very much luck in pursuing this case. Thank you, Deborah Watts. Thank you.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to ever serve her with the warrant. She's not going to see justice. She is protected by, you know, the higher-ups because of her color of her skin. But at the same time, I also feel like if Bill Cosby could go to jail for shit he did, for stuff he did, 20, 30 years ago, she could go to jail too. Bill Cosby didn't have nobody murdered, or or R. Kelly didn't have nobody murdered or whatever. So I feel like if they can get punished for their crimes that they did 20, 30 years ago, she can too. Like, comment, and subscribe.